So naturally, if you're going to be a landlord, you have to be aware of the Fair Housing Act. So look at this quick article. I'm not going to spend too much time on this. Can I rent to a woman only? What to be aware of when it comes to fair housing. As a landlord, there are a lot of facets to your job, depending on how hands-on you are. You're part handyman or woman, part accountant, part marketer, part analyst, and part property manager. You are responsible for finding tenants for all of the properties in your real estate portfolio. This topic can seem like a murky one because you have leeway in whom you choose. Well, no. First of all, let's understand this number one. First of all, I'm not funded by the federal government. This is my property. This is my risk. So I don't necessarily have to abide by any of this stuff. I am supposed to, in the spirit of being a good American, I'm not supposed to discriminate based on race, color, gender, creed, so forth and so on. But the reality is there's certain people I'm not renting to. Okay, that's the bottom line. Now, I've gotten lots of offers for Section 8. I've gotten lots of offers for Airbnb. I've gotten lots of offers for other services, specifically Travelocity, Expedia, because, there are people who would like to rent your home, parts of it for vacations and whatnot. Bottom line is this, and I'm going to show you this in a minute. First of all, I do a credit check because I want to see what your behavior is like. If you can't submit to my credit check, there's no way in hell you're getting in my house. Furthermore, I have strict security deposits. So basically, I let you know up front, I've got all this stuff already drafted. All you have to do is sign on the bottom line and hand me the check. But there's a security deposit. And if you fuck up my walls, if you damage anything in my house, my ceiling fan, my carpet, if you have a dog that takes a shit on the rug and I can't get that shit out, well, you're going to lose large portions of your security deposit. Oh, well, you don't like my tone? Well, guess what? You don't have to rent from me. You could go rent across the street somewhere else. You either deal with it or you don't. That's what's called the free market. I've always believed in the free market. I think the free market works. If you don't like it, there's always somebody else who's willing to rent. So bottom line is this. I also make you sign a direct deposit form. I'm going to get to that later. Okay, so it says, whether or not you are a female yourself, you may have the idea that scrapping the co-ed living situation and renting only to women. This idea can be tempting. Many people often perceive women as often being cleaner, quieter, and a little more dependable. Well, first of all, there's certain types of women who are louder, dirtier, and very undependable. Like, one of my girlfriends in high school, I swear I can't make this shit up. She was a hoarder. Her mom was a hoarder, and I guess her hoarding ways must have been genetic. And this girl was a hoarder. And I went to her house like for the first time. And this was high school. Went to her house. Her house was filthy as fuck. Like, there was a stench all throughout that place. The place was stank. I could still smell it. I'm 40 years old now. This happened over 20 years ago. I could still smell it. Roaches, pots and shit in the oven. They didn't clean up the baby diaper. And like, they were hoarders. Like, if you've ever watched the show Hoarders on TLC, you know what I'm talking about. I swear to God, like one time I was talking to her, like I was trying to ignore it because you know how like you go over to somebody's house and they're filthy as fuck and you try not to say anything. Like you're not just gonna stand there and say, "God damn, this place is fucking filthy." Like for whatever reason, and this has happened more than once. I'll get to that in a second. But there was a roach, and this roach walked right up the wall. And the son of a bitch stopped like right in front of me while I was talking to her. And here I am trying not to say anything about this fucking roach. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me. But then there was this other one. And I don't know what it is about these females renting. Because one thing I can say here in New York, and we've even seen surveys about this, people in general are so desperate to get into New York City, they are willing to rent a fucking closet for a couple of $100s a month. And when I say a closet, obviously I'm talking about a very small single room, not even a full bedroom, like a baby's room. They are desperate to get here to New York. See, I hate arguing with these manosphere dudes about their shitholes down south and all these places where they always said, oh yeah, well, a room shouldn't cost that much. New York properties. It's like, Y'all don't understand. It's like y'all live in the middle of nowhere. I live in New York City. New York City is the greatest city on the entire planet. When aliens invade in the movies, they don't go to motherfucking Paris. They don't go to Dubai. They come to New York to blow this shit up. They go to New York. New York is the number one city on earth. We got the Empire State Building. We've got what's left of the Twin Towers because those piece of shit politicians didn't simply rebuild two towers. These idiots only built one. So anyway, we've got all of this stuff here in New York. We got the culture. New York is the number one place. People, and I could show you the link to the study. People are willing to come here and pay whatever it takes to get here. You know what they say in that song? We've got songs about New York. If I can make it there, I can make it anywhere. It's up to you, New York, New York. You see, we've got songs and shit. Like most of these other cities, they ain't got songs. Nobody fucking cares about most of these. If you go to some of these other cities, it's all about a tourism thing. Like you go in there just for a couple of days, you leave. Not New York. No. When you come to this place, the only way you leave is feet first in a box. Now, granted, there are a lot of people who have left New York because they can't afford it, and they've moved down to Atlanta, and they moved out west to Ohio and all these places. And some of them have moved out there because they're Trump supporters and they want their gun rights and this, that, and other. We don't have that. But I think the Supreme Court's about to change that. I'm getting far off the point, but my point is this is New York. Everybody's trying to get here. That's the bottom line. That's just what it is. So anyway, bottom line is that a call you can make. Can you turn your rental property into a gender-specific living situation? No, you see this beautiful girl right here? She's so pretty. Now, am I allowed to just rent to women? Well, it says, can I choose my tenants based on sex and gender? It says, despite the advantages that you feel may come with this type of decision, the answer is in most cases, not all, only under the Federal Fair Housing Act, the answer is no. But because I don't take government funds, I can do whatever I want to do. I can rent to whoever I want to. I can discriminate based on income. I can discriminate based on your low-ass credit score if I have to. Because the problem is, credit checks your behavior. If I can't trust you just to pay your bills on time, why the fuck would I let you up in my house? No, I'm not doing it. No. So anyway, and you could try to sue me. You could be like, oh, yeah, he's not being fair. He's being mean. Yeah, but guess what? I have a lawyer who works for free, and I'll do my best to bankrupt you in court. Okay, so anyway, it says owner-occupied buildings with 4 or fewer rental units. Any single-family housing rented without advertising or a broker, so long as you own no more than 3 such rentals at a time. Organizational or private club housing where residency is limited to members. Housing reserved exclusively for senior citizens. So it says federal housing law does provide exceptions. So that means there are some exceptions in the federal code for basically this. The word is discrimination. Now, granted, we're not supposed to discriminate based on race, color, gender, sex, creed, and religion, right? But bottom line is, if I can't trust you to pay fucking bills, I don't give a shit what you are. It's like if you're whatever your protected status that you think you have is, it's like as long as you've got my money coming, I don't really care. As long as you don't fuck up my property. If you mess up my carpet, my walls, my ceiling fan, my microwave, my stove, my dryer, my washer, or anything else that I've put in here, I'm taking it out of your security deposit. If you give me any shit whatsoever, I'll hand you a letter and you're gone. And it's just that simple. And I know some people are like, oh, but Biden wouldn't allow you to do that. And I'd be like, no, I've got ways of making you go. Trust me. Okay, so this is one of the issues that renters face. You have to be prepared to rent to beautiful Ashley right here. I'm calling her Ashley. As far as I'm concerned, that's her name. Her name is Ashley. And you're not supposed to discriminate. But the bottom line is, Ashley better have my money. That's all it is. That's all it comes down to. Ashley better have my money. And as long as Ashley has my money, we're happy. Everybody's happy. Ashley's happy. I'm happy. And that's all that really matters, that I'm happy. Very quickly introduce you to this. This is a typical ACH form for direct deposit. Now, anybody who knows what direct deposit is, you already know what this is. What this means, basically, without putting too many words into it, what this means is that when I wake up every single, what day is it? Every single 16th or every single first of the month, depending upon what we've chosen in our agreement that you've signed this. When you wake up in the morning, your money is already in my bank account. And it's just that simple. So you put your name, you put your telephone number, you put your bank name, your routing number, your checking account, right? Because ACH forms are slightly different than credit cards, when you do bank checks and automatic withdrawals, the cycle that starts where you start paying, that cycle is not something you can simply just cancel very easily. It actually takes at least 1 or 2 cycles for one of these things to get canceled. You can't simply cancel an ACH withdrawal. Now, the stipulation is that you're going to, be in the property for a specific amount of time, the rental agreement, I should say, the lease agreement. And this is how I take my money. Because see, here's the problem. There's too many landlords. You got to run and look for people and stuff. I'm not looking for nobody. I'm not searching for you. I'm not trying to find your ass. I'm not, wherever you are, I don't care where you are. You could be in Australia. All I know is when I wake up on that 16th, and every time I wake up, it's like a ritual. I pick up my phone, I quickly go to my bank account, and I look and see, has your money been deposited? Which it has, because this thing is it's very exact. I urge any person who's a renter that this is exactly how you should deal with the situation. So you agree what day the rent is going to come, and you have these people sign it, and whoever is renting from you, it automatically comes. Now, your money comes to me before you get your own money. So you've got to pay all of your other bills, your cell phone bill, your electric bill, whatever it is. You pay all that on your own time. You know what the Bible says? The Bible says, render unto Caesar what is Caesar's, and render unto me what is mine. So whatever your other bills are, I don't give a goddamn. My bill comes to me direct deposit every 16th in the morning. And it's just that simple. This is what you should do as a renter, because after what we saw for the last, 2 years, you got the government, you don't have to pay your rent. We're going to make it so we're going to do a rent moratorium. Fuck that shit. I don't do rent moratoriums. No. If you want to hand me money to let me keep this person here, cool. But the way it works is I start sucking my money out of your security deposit. So if you haven't paid me rent by the time your security deposit is empty, well, now you got a problem, because now you're going to need more security deposit. Otherwise, I'm going to be handing you to the sheriff, and he's going to be taking your shit and throwing it outside. Now, listen, there's no need to be hostile, but the bottom line is I've seen a lot of people go deep into debt, go bankrupt because of poor government policy. And because, I'm a chess player, I have to think my way around all of other people's bullshit. I have to deal with other people's bullshit on a regular basis. And I'm so tired of it that I literally have to mentally game out entire plans, and I have to game out threads of activity and ways of dealing with possible outcomes constantly. And if you're a chess player, you understand exactly what I'm talking about. It turns you into a madman. So the reality is, I have basically figured out every single possible way to make sure that in the end that I don't lose. I refuse to take the loss. I refuse. So if I can beat you with your security deposit, that's how it's going to happen. If I have to take you to court, I don't want to go to court, and I'm sure you don't want to go to court. But if you're going to screw with my money, yeah, we're going to court. So the bottom line is, it's so much better when you have people who abide by their promissory notes and they pay the way they're supposed to pay, and they pay on time, then everybody's happy. So the way I deal with it is the students I rent to, their ACH withdrawal is basically linked to their accounts. And when they get their money for school, it automatically comes to me. The rest of their money, they pay the bursar and the registrar. All that's cool, as long as I get mine. As long as I get mine, that's what allows me to keep a roof over your head. And when you think about it along those terms, it makes perfect. So this is a story that may have been somewhat overlooked because most people don't read. They don't read the news. They're so busy watching these idiots on MSNBC and CNN and Fox. All three of those channels are shit. It's like if I was a goldfish and you were feeding me that, I'd be the dumbest fucking goldfish on the planet. I'd be dumb and I'd be confused about everything. So anyway, Manhattan landlords are rejecting single tenants who don't make over $155,000. Now let me explain something real quick. First of all, when people see numbers like that, $155,000, there's pretty much only two cities in America, or I should say at least like two states, specifically their cities in America, where you could literally demand this kind of money for rent. New York City is one, California is the other. So like LA, Palos Verdes, downtown San Francisco, places like that. So New York City's housing market has always been competitive, but renters are facing a particularly tough flat hunt now. The median monthly rent for a one-bedroom apartment in Manhattan reached $3,870 in April, a record 38% year-over-year increase and well above pre-pandemic levels. Data from the real estate brokerage Douglas Elliman showed. Now, I will say this. Now, having dealt with real estate here in New York City, I will say this. $3,870 is actually a little high for most of the apartments that I've dealt with. More likely $3,000 is what you'd really run into. $2,000 is very common. $3,000 is more likely what you'd run into. $3,500 is typically, that's going to be a luxury apartment. Now, chances are, you're renting to somebody who's easily making about $100,000 a year, at least $100,000 a year, maybe even $120,000 a year. But $3,870, when you're looking at numbers like that, basically you're talking about a couple that both make about $100,000 a year. So that's what you're really looking at. So when you see $3,870, yeah, I got an aunt who rents out a basement in fucking Brooklyn down the block from the Barclays Center for like $2,800 a month, and she's supposed to be charging them $3,000. But for some reason, some people like to be friendly and shit with people and short themselves so that they can give other people a cushy living. Those tenants of hers better hope that I never end up in charge of her property, because I'm raising the rent like almost immediately. Sorry, that's just what it is. I'm not taking a loss so that you can live in the basement. I'm not taking any losses. So anyway, it says in New York City, it's standard for landlords to apply what is known as the 40 times rule to judge somebody's ability to pay their rent. In order to qualify as a tenant, a person's annual gross income should be at least 40 times the monthly rent. To rent a one-bedroom at Manhattan's current median price, that means an income of $154,800. In Brooklyn, where the median one-bedroom apartment goes for about $3,048 a month, anyone with an income of less than $121 will also struggle to qualify. Now, first of all, when it comes to discrimination, these numbers are not set in stone. There's a lot of discrimination based on race, based on gender in some cases, based on religion, especially based on religion. For those of you who live in New York and live anywhere around Williamsburg or Sheepshead Bay or Park Slope, y'all know what I'm talking about. I'm not even going to say it because you know what I'm talking about. I like to talk in code sometimes, but you know what I'm talking about. So anyway, rising rents impact New Yorkers particularly hard. First of all, what you're dealing with now is this is not rent anymore. You're literally putting mortgages on people's apartments and they're not getting anything out of it. You're basically your rent, the rent that you're making them pay is paying your mortgage. And some of you may even paid off the place, but the bottom line is the rent that we can charge here in New York is, I mean, listen, it's the free market, but if this was like communism or something, they would call it straight up criminal. In fact, the Cultural Revolution in China happened over less than what we're doing right here. With this New York rent, I have, there's a room that I have right now. Because see, I like, until I actually marry, I really enjoy having an entire house to myself. I got a room with nothing in it but my computer. Nothing but my computer. I can rent that room for $500 a month at least, maybe even $1,000. But I would go easily for the 500 because I know I'd get it. The problem is when you deal with a tenant, you're dealing with a lot of bullshit. Like let's say I rent to a female. She's going to want to bring her male friends over. Right there, that's a no. You're not bringing no other guys in my house while I'm in here, period, at all, period. I don't even give a shit if that's an anti-discrimination thing. I don't care. So therefore, there's issues. I like having the place to myself. Another issue is sometimes you get squatters who stop paying and they feel that they have a right to stay there. I feel that, no, you don't, and you're gone. And one way or another, you're out. So the issue is I have this rule that it's like you can't live in my house with me. You just can't. I don't want anybody in here because the reality is if somebody starts some shit, doesn't make those payments or starts some shit, because it's all kinds of bullshit now because you got people doing drugs and shit. You got people smoking fucking weed. I don't smoke anything. I don't smoke cigarettes. I don't smoke weed. You got these people who want to bring female friends in, male friends in. And I know the first thing somebody's going to say is, oh, you're being unfair. You're a fascist. Well, fuck that. This is my property. You can't say shit to me. So the bottom line is my other property, oh, yeah, if you want to rent from me there, yeah, that's cool. But I can't have you in my house. I just can't have you with me. My computer gets its own room. My guns get their own room. My kitchen gets its own room. My living room gets their own room. The stuff, the TV, the couch and all that. My washing machine and my dryer get their own room. My toilet gets its own room. It's called the bathroom. My sink gets its own room. The tub gets its own room. So what I'm saying is, it's like, I don't want anybody in here to start some shit, to disrupt the natural order of things. Okay? So the bottom line is, what we're getting away with, if I needed the money, if I was hard up for the money, I could rent out parts of my house, and I'm not fucking doing that shit at all. I'm not doing that. So, but I could get $500 for this room that I'm looking at. I'm looking at the room right now. I get $500 for that room a month at least. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. Because the reality is I don't want anybody in here starting no shit. That's the bottom line. In New York City, we had a large number of apartments that were basically used by foreign money to launder their money. Most of this money is coming from Eastern Europe. I'll say it like that. And a lot of the other money is coming from East Asia. And basically, they were keeping these buildings empty. And somebody would say, well, wait a minute. You bought these buildings. Why would you keep them empty? Well, the reason is it's because they use it to launder money and they don't want the hassle of having tenants. Because when they have tenants, now you got somebody complaining, oh, it's too hot in here. We need air conditioner. Okay, fuck. I'll go to Costco. I'll go to BJ's. I'll get your air conditioner. Hello, landlord? Yeah, the toilet is stopped up. We need you to fix the toilet. Oh, shit. I gotta go fix the fucking toilet. Okay, let me go get the pipe. I'll go fix the toilet. I'll get the snake and I'll fix the toilet. All right. Hello? Landlord. It's too cold. It's too cold. Oh my God. Okay, I'll call for the oil delivery or the gas delivery, whatever it is. I'll call and I'll get that done. Yeah, okay, no problem. Right. Landlord, hello? Yeah, we'd like a new stove because, the old stove is old and it doesn't cook. You get my point. They were using these buildings. I think there were like 1,500 or something like that. There was a lot of them. I mean, it was a lot. It's a big number. And they just weren't renting these rentals out because they didn't want the hassle of having renters. And they were also, I guess, worried about exactly what did happen during the pandemic, that you could have a bunch of squatters not paying because they either lost their jobs or because something happened. I don't think anybody ever anticipated the government to literally say, hey, don't worry, everybody, you don't have to pay your rent. And don't worry, we're going to have rent moratorium. So not only don't you have to pay your rent, but your landlord can't throw you out on your head. I don't think anybody expected that. Especially, who I feel really bad for, all the businesses. Y'all may remember I made a video about this sushi restaurant called Mondado in Glen Cove, Long Island, across the street from Roosevelt Field Mall, or down the block from it. Mondado went under, and that was like the best restaurant in this entire area, especially if you like sushi, and it's gone. Because the renters, I don't know why they didn't hold out, but they just gave up, and they said, no, we're out. I don't know what, but you know what? Some people just abandon a situation and they just leave whoever is left holding the bag. And I'm not willing to do that. I don't take L's from these people. These people are beneath me. I'm not taking no L's. So anyway, in April, bidding wars accounted for more than 1 in 5 new lease signings in Manhattan, according to Douglas Elliman. In those instances, landlords received an average premium of nearly 11% above asking price. So understand this. And this is what happened to some of my acquaintances. I tried to tell these morons to buy their house or buy their property back in 2018 and 2017. They ignored me. Now, the pandemic started 2020, and then housing was quickly snapped up each and everywhere. Housing prices skyrocketed. Some people really believe that this is a housing bubble. The answer is this is not a housing bubble. And the reason why is very simple. Anybody who bought a house within the last couple of years got the lowest interest rate they could possibly get, possibly a 30-year fix, some people even a 40-year fix, and they got the lowest interest rate, lowest payments. They are never selling those places. They're not. They're not going to sell those places. First of all, because some of them can't sell, because if they did sell, they'd have nowhere to go. Furthermore, because those houses are now assets. So for the people who think this is a simple housing bubble like in 2008, well, I want you to understand something. I worked real estate selling houses in 2008. Selling houses, refinancing mortgages. And understand something, this is not 2008. In 2008, the reason why there was a crisis was because you had a subprime crisis, low credit, and then on top of that, you had a lot of people with adjustable rate mortgages. And many of those mortgages had been packaged and resold to different banks, but that's besides the point. The problem was when these people's mortgages started to adjust, they stopped paying. It was just that simple. They started going delinquent, left, right, here, front, center. And then because these mortgages had insurance on them, the insurance companies, specifically AIG, all of the insurance companies that insured them were in danger of going under. So basically, you had a house of cards built on bad mortgages. That's not what we're looking at right now. What we're looking at is a different type of housing bubble. We're looking at low interest rates that have created a situation where the houses have been mostly all bought up. The land that they sit on is all the land there is. The government can print money, but the government can't print land. And to tell you the truth, that's not even true anymore, because if you look at China, China literally digs up sand, takes it to the middle of the ocean, dumps it, and creates fucking islands. So technically the government can print land, but not the American government, because your leaders are stupid and short-sighted. The leaders that we have here in America are not Xi Jinping and Vladimir Putin. Our leaders are stupid and short-sighted. We're not printing land like China is. We're busy trying to figure out why we don't have any baby formula. Now you get my drift. So anyway, let's go back to the article, because I love digressing. So anyway, it also coincides with large corporates, including JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs, and that's another problem. The corporations are beating all of the offers. So when my acquaintances tried to put down an offer for a property, they immediately got outbid by unknown, no-face Asian buyers or Eastern European buyers. And you immediately get outbid. In fact, I have a coworker. She wanted to put down, she was telling me about this. She put down, she saw a house. The property was valued at like $1 million. She said, okay, I'll give you an offer of 1.2 million. She was immediately outbid for 1.4. And I'm like, yeah, well, that's just what it is, because these people have cash money. America has been outsourcing inflation up until recently. What we were doing was we were sending worthless US dollars to other countries in exchange for manufactured goods. What does that look like? You know what that looks like? It looks like 70-inch televisions for $1,000, 70-inch televisions for $500, TCL TVs are 50 inches for $200, iPads, iPhones, Samsung Galaxies, computer parts. That's what I'm talking about. We've been sending US dollars over to other countries in exchange for manufactured goods. But what happened was those people saved that cash and then they brought it back to America, and voila, we've got buckets of cash. We got pallets of cash. And that's the reason why your market is a mess. That's why. Now, most other countries, like if I'm an American, I can't just go to the Philippines and just buy property. I can only rent. I can only lease. I can't buy the land. I can't go to China and buy the land. I can't go to Japan and buy the land, no matter how much money I have, because I'm not one of them. America allows you to come here and just buy this shit up with all that money we outsourced over to your country. When I say my leaders, your leaders, our leaders are stupid and short-sighted, that's what I mean. Stupid and short-sighted. That's what they are. And that's the reason why your market right now is a mess. Because they're stupid and short-sighted. If I could corner them and force them to tell me things about the actual Constitution, I guarantee most of them couldn't. I guarantee it. If I could corner them and ask them to tell me things specific about the market, I guarantee most of them couldn't. Half of these idiots don't know the difference between an AR-15 and an assault rifle. There is a difference between a semi-automatic rifle and an assault rifle that they're trying to ban, but these guys are so stupid that they can't even tell you the difference because they just don't know. So, I tell you, that's where we are. But as far as this renting situation, the last paragraph says, another option is to downsize. The median studio rent was $2,850 in Manhattan, $2,674 in Brooklyn for the month of April. However, even at those lower rates, anyone not earning six figures will be put out. Well, of course. First of all, if you're earning six figures here in New York, let's say you're earning $100,000. Your take-home pay is basically, I think after tax, your take-home is about $5,000 a month. And that's only one person, right? So, first of all, we've got another issue because you see these women are for the streets and they're not getting married and they're not, raising families like they used to. The other issue is that you don't even have couples buying houses. And I guess that's probably the last thing I want to talk about. You got to remember, the 30-year fixed mortgage is based on the belief that you're going to marry in your 20s, you're going to take out a loan for a home in your 20s, and possibly maybe your early 30s, and that you're going to stay married and stay in that home until you're about 50 or 60, at which point you'll be retiring. When you retire, the house should be paid off, and now it's an asset rather than a liability. What's our reality as millennials and Generation X and baby? What's our reality? Our reality is people are waiting longer to start families. People are in their late 30s before they're having their first kid. They're buying their first home right now at $600,000 for a starter home. The average home right now is over $400,000 in this area specifically, the tri-state area. Now, I know if I go out to like some no name, worthless shithole out in like North Dakota or South Dakota or something, I'm pretty sure I could probably find a house for about $100,000. Even in upstate New York, I'm pretty sure I could find a house for around $100,000. But then you've got to worry about the racists who come out shooting up the grocery stores because they feel that their country has been taken away from them. Well, I have news for you. Yes, it has been taken away from you. It's been taken away from you by your stupid leaders and your short-sighted leaders, and it's been given away to foreign countries. It has been taken. Yes, I know. You know how they come out and they be like, "Oh, they won't replace us. You'll not replace us." I have news for you. You're being replaced. I have other news that might make you feel a little better. They're going to replace me too. If anything happened to me, they're just going to replace me. They're going to replace me with some foreign laborer who can do the same job for less money. And that's just a reality. I've come to peace with it. I've come to grips with it. So yes, two things. Yes, you're losing your country and you're being replaced. I just want you to understand that so that there's no, misunderstanding. I want you to understand that. Any life that you thought you were going to live based on what you saw on those 80s and 90s television shows, I just want you to understand it's not going to happen. Any life, any beautiful wedding and stuff that you thought you were going to have from those Disney movies, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. You're going to get married to a wildebeest, ugly chick. She's going to be ugly. And it's going to be a shitty, cheap wedding. You're poor. And you're going to live for thousands of dollars renting out somebody else's house, because you're going to be a generation of permanent renters because you're poorly educated. You are too lazy mentally to take difficult jobs. You don't know anything about STEM and technology and all that. So the reality is, you know how they always say, "Oh, don't worry, things get better. Don't worry about it. It gets better." I have reality for you. No, it doesn't get better. You're doomed, and it's just not going to get any better. I'm sorry. Now, some of us have come to terms with that. We've made peace with it. Other people are waking up to sky-high gas prices, no baby food for their baby. Some people have woken up to the fact that while they're living in a tent in California or in New York in a subway under a trestle, that we just handed $40 billion to Ukraine. I want you to think about that for a second. Vladimir Putin has slowly and methodically destroyed Ukraine's army. And the only reason why he didn't flatten the entire place is because there's still a lot of Russians who live in Ukraine that he's not trying to kill. We just handed those people $40 billion while you can't find an apartment, while you are living in a tent in California, and you can't even listen to what I'm saying because you don't have Wi-Fi, because you can't afford it. Think about that for a second. And then look at the fact that even when you did your best, even when you tried to be a landlord, you tried to be a business person, you tried to be a square, upstanding citizen, your government told your tenants that not only don't they have to pay you, but you can't kick them out. And they told you that, and they told your tenants that simultaneously. So you and your tenant are looking at each other like, I don't have to pay you, and you can't kick me out. And then you're looking at them like, you don't have to pay me, and I can't kick you out. I want you to think about that for a second. Meanwhile, we handed $40 billion to a defeated country. How do you feel about that? Tell me in the comments. I'd love to hear your